We come before you today in holy smacrimony to consecrate these lands, to guide the souls of the lost, to bring forth thine holy light, to cast judgment upon the damned, and cleanse this world of evil, and send our enemies straight to hell. What up, homies? It's yeah, you already know what it is. Back here on the Retribution Paladin. Had a lot of fun with this one. Heard a lot of uproar in the community about the ret, so I wanted to jump on and try it myself. I played it a bit back in BFA. Had some Mythic kills in Nyalotha with it. Before we get into the video, I want to show you a couple things. The only thing I'm tracking here on the UI is I got a Divine Purpose and Imperium Power weak aura up right there in the top so I can see them and spend them immediately. And that beautiful pink bar is wings up time. Now in the video we're about to watch, I'm running Boundless Judgment and High Lord's Judgment, both ranks, but I dropped those and picked up Tempest of the Lightbringer and Fires of Justice. This is a better big pack AOE build. It's what I should be running in Algathar's Academy, but I was doing Halls of Valor back to back to back, and there's not a lot of big pulls in there, so I was trying that judgment damage. But if you're going to take a build from this video, I would suggest to take the one with that we just showed. So this is the one we're running here, and I believe this is Algathar's Academy 10. And we managed to get up to 23% haste, 42% mastery with the jewelry that we crafted. And I think I had versatility on one of the rings. I don't know why. I think I did a double take, like, what the hell? But whatever, it's beta. Also, before we get into it, if you like the damage font numbers you see, it's actually an add-on called Better Damage. And the font style is called Pepsi. And it's really easy to get. I notice a lot of people asking that, so I'll probably drop it in every video. And these are the only other add-ons that I am running. Pretty lightweight. It's really all you need. And recently, Ret received quite a few nerfs. And that 50% one at the top looks big, but Sanctified Wrath, I don't believe it was even working like a week ago. So they got it to where it's working now, and then adjusted all the damage accordingly. So I mean, I really don't see much of a difference in the damage numbers, but I mean, you'll see how it goes here. But yeah, like I was saying, the Ret community's really been kind of up and down with how their specs looking right now in Dragonflight. I know early, like when the tier set came out and they saw like some of the first run-throughs of the new talent tree, they're kind of singing we don't need no consecration. But I don't mind having an extra button to push on Paladin. I mean, it's up all the time. It's only an 8-second cooldown. You drop it everywhere. I try to prioritize it as much as I can, because I think at the end of the run, it ends up being like my second highest damage overall. And this is one of the heavier AOE Mythic Plus dungeons available right now for testing. So that may be a testament to all the AOE, but I mean, I really don't mind it. It's pretty dope. And other than prioritizing Consecration, the playstyle for Ret has changed a little bit with an old legendary from Shadowlands. I think it's called Of Dusk and Dawn. And I really like how this plays. It's dynamic. It gives you a little bit more of a thought process to run through as you're dumping your holy power. But let's see. What it does is when you reach 5 holy power, you gain Blessing of Dawn. And then when you reach 0 holy power, you gain the Blessing of Dusk. And the capstone under that, the Blessing of Dawn, increases your holy power spending abilities. They deal 10% increased damage. And then in the Dusk, your armor is increased by 10% and your holy power generating abilities cool down 10% faster. And they're 15-second buffs, so uptime's really not that tough. I think at the end of this run I had like 80-something% uptime on those. And I watched Zuko WoW do a run. And I think his name is, let me see, Lord of Warcraft. He was talking about this the other day too. And he did a run where he had like 96 or 98% uptime on those. So, I mean, you really don't have to think about it too much, but it is worth it to stay on top of it. So you build up to 5, you dump, you build 1 holy power, so you have 3, and then you dump. And just continue that so you like always keep these Dusk and Dawn buffs up. And it's cool. It's cool to have something else to think about. I mean, in the past, Retribution has been really simple. Not a lot going on with the rotation, and this kind of like puts a whole nother element of, I wouldn't say difficulty, but you know, thought process into it. And after the tree boss, he's one of my favorites because I think it's the only AoE boss in here. The rest of them are all single target. We hit 90k end of the boss there. That's pretty dope. But I know AoE is like where the Retribution Paladin shines. But what I love is like hitting a humongous crit. And this fucking spec has the biggest hits outside of like broken enhancement shaman PvP Ellie blasts. Wake of Ashes hits so fucking hard sometimes. I think I crit for like 212 here on a Wake of Ashes. It was actually in the intro too. Right here, yeah, 213. That's so sick. I love seeing that. Another cool thing about Retribution, like you're in trouble, you just bubble out. Probably has some of the best, like, oh shit buttons in the game. Lay on Hands and Divine Protection. I think that's what the bubble's called. But yeah, you play Retribution too long, and you lean on those oh shit buttons a little too often, it becomes kind of difficult to play other classes. But speaking of the class overall, I really like it. The rotation is, there's a lot more going on with the procs you get. Imperium Power and Divine Purpose, I believe. I try to watch those. I have those right at the top of the UI like I showed in the intro, because when you get one of those, you want to dump it immediately because you don't want to lose that proc. You can proc over the top of it and it doesn't stack or anything. It'll just reset the cooldown on the buff. So I'm trying to track those so I dump them immediately so I don't lose any DPS to that. But between those two procs, the Dusk and Dawn buffs you want to try and keep uptime on, Consecration being an extra rotational ability, and the play around Final Reckoning, I think it's great. I think Ret Paladin's in the best spot it's ever been, ever, since I've played. I've played since vanilla. I love it. It was really fun in BFA at the end of BFA because corruption got so out of hand. At the end, they just let it all kind of run wild, and there was one of them that gave you a cooldown on like your main big button, which was wings for Paladin. So you saw like Holy Paladins doing like a shit ton of DPS. Ret Paladin had like a 45-second cooldown on wings, and that was fun, but it wasn't like sustainable. Like it wasn't going to be like that the whole patch or the whole expansion. This is fun right out the gate. 10.0, Ret Paladin's having fun, and that's cool. The only problem I do see, and it would be an issue for my personal interest in running the spec for the entire expansion, is kind of the same problem I have with the Outlaw spec tree. And a testament I gave to the spec trees in the Shaman breakdown video and the Fury Warrior breakdown video is that every time I would inspect a different Shaman, Enhancement Shaman, or a different Fury Warrior, they were running different talents. And I've run a bunch of different talents in Mythic Plus on both of those specs, but with Outlaw Rogue and with the Ret Paladin, outside of like one or two little changes that hopefully get some buffs, like the burn build for Ret is, I mean, it doesn't exist because there's no damage there, but hopefully they buff that. Oh, and look, I'm rezzing someone. I'm B-rezzing. That's so sick. But outside two like little variations that, you know, possibly could happen with tuning, if you're running a Mythic Plus dungeon with another Ret Paladin and you inspect him and look at his talents, odds are he's running the same shit as you. Because there is not a lot of variables. And it feels good right now, but I've been playing it for like 5 days. I mean, it's not going to feel good if you play the same talents for 2 years. With Fury and Enhancement, I mean, they could just tune something here, you know. On Enhancement, you could tune Hailstorm, and you're running Hailstorm for a patch, you know. You run Fire Nova, they buff Fire Nova, you're running Fire Nova for a patch. It shakes up everything. The way the Ret Paladin tree is kind of is built right now, they don't really have that option. So I know they said they've shifted mostly into tuning and numbers and stuff right now. I don't think they're completely 100% shut down on, you know, shaking up the talent trees, but I mean, hopefully not for the Paladin and the Guardian Druid. But I don't really do tanks, so. And I guess I smashed on that boss. 15k over the Fury Warrior in single target. I think he died twice, though. Yeah, there it is. Templar's Verdict doing all that damage. And it's kind of scary having a damage profile like that. You kind of want it to tier down, like, more evenly. You don't want to just have one big ass ability on top and everything else is like 4-6%, because nothing else feels good except Templar's Verdict to hit. Also, I mean, they nerf Templar's Verdict and there goes 70% of your single target damage. But after running 2 weekends on the Ret Paladin of Mythic Plus, and if you're not in beta, they, for some reason, they only have Mythic Plus up like Friday night to Monday morning, which is rough. because I don't really get a lot of time to like get comfortable with the spec enough to make a video to where I feel good about like presenting that to people who are possibly looking at that spec to main it. So it takes me 2 weekends, you know, on a new spec, but after playing for 2 weekends, I don't feel the like doom and gloom that you get from a lot of the Ret community right now. And I think that's kind of been turning around. And also, if you are looking to main Ret, I might have 1 or 2 more videos on the Ret, but I'm not really like, this isn't like a Ret channel. If you guys want to check out some Ret channels, I'll what's that thing at the top? I'm gonna drop like some like notifications at the top for you to check these guys out. And this was a dope pack too. 4 targets, I hit like 140. But Verabin has been doing Ret videos for a long time, and I used to watch him in BFA. Savix, I don't know if he's coming back, but he's probably like the biggest Ret guy. And Lord of Warcraft has been having like really good like in-depth breakdown videos on a lot of Ret updates and all the abilities. He tries like every single build. I've been watching a lot of his stuff the last, you know, week or two. So I would definitely check out those guys. And if you're a PvP guy, Level Layden, I think that's how you say his name. He's got some really dope PvP like BG montage videos and shit where he checks everything out. But yeah, I would drop by and check those guys' channels out. They're probably like, you know, they understand more than me. They're more in depth and they got a lot more stuff for you to watch. And I did mention earlier that I've been playing Outlaw Rogue. And I think I even mentioned in the last video, the Warrior video, that I was going to drop an Outlaw video the next day. But I started recording that, and it was just a lot of like, I don't like this, I don't like that, this doesn't feel good to me. And I kind of didn't want to like make a video like that. I'm not a fucking YouTuber, you know? I'm not just looking for clicks. I watch videos like at work on lunch, you know, about specs I like or whatever. And I just want to see how they're doing, get hype on that shit. And that's kind of just what I started doing because I watch that shit. So I didn't want to make a video and have some like random people click on it and be, you know, bummed the fuck out because I don't like their spec. But honestly, like Outlaw, the numbers are fine. It's got more abilities than it's ever had. Shadow Step is cool. Dreadblades are cool. I mean, it's got a lot going on. I don't know why. I just wasn't feeling it. So I may revisit that in like a more positive light. But yeah, if you were waiting for that video because I mentioned it in the Warrior video, sorry about that. I just didn't want to like put out like a negative video. And I know we see a lot of that right now. I don't know if it's because it gets clicks. Like, you know, Rip Guardian Druid. Oh, Retribution Paladin will never get taken in Mythic Plus. I don't know. I don't know if people are just trying to get, you know, traffic. Because negativity, like, does... For some reason, it draws people in, but... I don't see why Retribution is, been catching so much flack. Also, I haven't gotten into any raid testing, but I've been watching some, and Ret single target was killing it last week. Definitely like top melee spec in single target, pure single target bosses. That might have gotten knocked down a peg with the recent nerfs that I showed earlier, but I don't know. And hopefully B-Res will kind of give it a little more play in Mythic Plus. It's so cool casting. I just did it right there on the Warrior again. I don't know how he keeps dying. He's got 3 heals. You should watch my last video. But it's so cool having, and it makes sense. It makes thematic sense that you could, like, you know, call on the Holy Light and bring a player back to life during battle. So, I don't know. I know, like, it's kind of the same problem with Enhancement Shaman. If they're not pumping in damage, they don't bring enough to the table. as a spec to be taken over anything else, really. And I understand that, and it really only affects like the top 5% of players. But that shit trickles down into, you know, the forums and the community and YouTube videos, and people running a fucking plus 12 will deny somebody because their spec's not meta. And that sucks that happens, but I guess that's the way of the world. This is probably the best pack I hit in this whole run. I actually like pulled aggro on like 4 mobs here. But we get up into like 210, 213. And that's what I was talking about earlier with Final Reckoning. It feels so cool like playing around that. Dumping Final Reckoning, knowing you have like wings off cooldown. You got Divine Toll, and then Wake of Ashes. If all that's like ready to go, and you drop a Final Reckoning, and you can drop everything else in that 8 seconds of uptime, it's so nice. Like in the last video with the Warrior, I was complaining that Odin's Fury and Roar, they don't interact with anything. It's just you just press a button and it does damage. But I love how Final Reckoning, you want to hold it so that you have other things up for it. Like right here I got Divine Toll, so I'll throw it down and then Divine Toll. It's simple, but it feels like you're doing something properly, like correct, you know. That thing hits hard too sometimes. I've seen it crit for 100k. But I really like that. I've really enjoyed the Red Paladin so far. My only problem, which is everyone's only problem, the whole wheelchair meme, you know, it doesn't have very good mobility. And I know they were complaining that in the general talent tree, you have to take like, I think you have to drop 3 points originally to get Divine Steed up to its like maximum potential, and I believe they took that away. Now it's only 2. But I mean, honestly, you got nothing else to spend talent points on in this tree, so I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, it's so cool. The sounds are really good too, and all the animations. I love that. It plays a lot into like whether or not I enjoy a spec. And I think Red has some of the best, like, you know, lore and shit. And I have Bubble up here, and I just stand in this whirlwind and don't press it. What an idiot. I pressed my other shield, but I was dead for that whole pack. We'll just skip that. So, I mean, at the end of the dungeon here, I'm doing more damage here than I was on the Fury Warrior video. I'm doing more damage than I was in the Outlaw video that I didn't put out. The only one that's beaten it damage-wise is Enhancement Shaman, and I've been playing a lot of Enhancement Shaman, so I don't know how much that's to the capability of the spec and my comfortability with Enhancement Shaman, but I mean, Tuni's not finalized. It's not really fair to compare 1-to-1 yet, but I'm a fucking monkey brain. That's what I'm gonna do. But it does good damage. You got a bunch of shit to press. You got the best shit buttons in the game. You actually have like some team stuff now. And I don't have sack here. I mean, you can bubble sack people too, but I didn't take sack. I just tried to go full damage. But the B-res feels cool. All the blessings are dope. I mean, they've always been there, but I don't know. I hope Brett gets a little more play. And you know what's kind of weird is like, you don't see Rhett a lot. I see it in PvP last Shadowlands, but you don't run into him in pug raids very often. I don't run into him in Mythic Plus. But there's a lot of dedicated Ret Paladin YouTubers. I think that's fucking cool. So hopefully those guys get some time in the sun. I remember at the beginning of Shadowlands, Ret was looking really good. And then like day one, they nerfed the shit out of Ret, they nerfed the shit out of Sub Rogue, and they just died. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Also, if you're on this boss, don't get hit by the little purple clouds. It drops another fucking thing, and then there's purple clouds everywhere. It just sucks. But yeah, I probably won't be maining the Ret Paladin. I've done it already. I've missed Enhancement Shaman since Legion, and it looks so fun right now, and there's so much like variables in the builds that you can run. But that's probably what I'm going to land on for a main. But if you like Ret Paladin, it's probably the best time ever to play it. And I would definitely play as Andalori Troll, because these motherfuckers look dope. Especially with the new glasses. A lot of the cosmetics look cool too in Dragonflight. I got like no problems with this new expansion. I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. And then just going over the damage, 54.5k for the overall. Divine Storm, big 24% of your damage profile. And then Consecration, their second, like I said earlier, 16%. Templar's Verdict, way up there for single target. I think I'm only hitting that on like 3 of the bosses. Critting for 162k, that's sick. Judgment hitting for over 100k on a crit. And then Wake of Ashes, that 213k crit I hit on that mini boss there in the middle, that was sick. And then Final Reckoning hitting for over 130k. Those huge crits like that are so satisfying on the Ret Paladin. I love seeing that pop up. Yeah, if you're a big weapon, huge number kind of guy, Arms Warrior, Ret Paladin, this right up the alley. And then your builders are way down here. That kind of sucks. But, I mean, it's a builder. That's what it's for. But yeah, I'm loving Ret Paladin. Nothing really bad to say. So, I mean, hopefully the numbers stay up there. I love having a B-Res. All the extra buttons are dope, so thanks for stopping by.